I'm going to talk about the novel Ursula by Maria Firmina dos Reis, published in 1859. First, I did want to just apologize pre-hand for my Portuguese pronunciation. It's not the best. So the second slide just gives background on Maria. Again, I apologize for my pronunciation, but Maria Firmina dos Reis was born in Marano. That's just relevant to the overall meaning of the book, just because Marano was the center of slavery in Brazil, so her background shaped her perspective, voice, and her courage to write a book with feminist and abolitionist perspectives in a time and in a place that was so considered radical doing so. She was an Afro-Brazilian woman writing in a racist and patriarchal society, so her voice just disrupts the dominant narrative. So slide 3 just talks about facts about Maria and how Maria was the first black female novelist in Brazil. I think I mentioned this earlier, but she published Ursula in 1859, making her the first known Afro-Brazilian woman to publish a novel. Ursula is one of the first abolitionist novels in Brazil, and this was written before slavery was even officially abolished in 1888. And then Maria Firmina became a public school teacher in Marano in 1847, which is also just a rare and prestigious position for a woman, especially a black woman at the time, to have that position. And then she moved on to opening a school that accepted, in 1880, that accepted all races, promoting education and equality. Again, this is just a bold act in a very racially divided society. And then, she's so monumental that they had a monument dedicated to her in her city in São Luís, Brazil. That's not her city, but in the city of Brazil. Slide 4 is just a summary. Ursula offers a romantic yet strongly political narrative set in the 19th century Brazil during the slavery era. The plot revolves around Ursula, a young white woman who falls in love with Tancredo, a good and decent man. The novel explores the lives of enslaved black individuals, particularly Susanna and Tulio, who were sold into slavery and deprived of their humanity. Maria uses the romance narrative not just for drama, but also to illustrate the inhumanity of slavery and society's moral and shortcomings. She offers enslaved characters power, voice, and dignity, which is considered creative at that time. Through these people, she criticizes racism, patriarchy, and a culture that claims to be Christian while defending slavery. The novel is both a love tale and a strong political statement. It humanizes the enslaved, emphasizes the emotional and psychological cost of slavery, and demonstrates the strength of black women in particular. This strong, fearless work by Maria established a foundation for feminist and Afro-Brazilian literature. When reading chapter 9, Maria talks about a woman named Susanna who tells a tragic story of her family and how she was kidnapped from Africa, separated from her mother's arms, and sold into slavery in Brazil. She believes she has been degraded to an item with no right to grieve or remember her past after losing her name, culture, and identity. Her narrative is one of severe sorrow, but it also includes dignity and emotional resilience. Maria's narrative provides a strong, direct experience at the agony of slavery, particularly from the perspective of a black woman, making Susanna's testimony one of the novel's most honorable parts in the reading. Well, at least in my opinion. Chapter 9, excerpt. They tore me from my homeland, from the arms of my mother, and sold me like an object. I have no name, no past, and no right to weep. Maria Firmina dos Reis. Analysis of excerpt. This line from Ursula, chapter 9, captures the extreme violence and suffering of slavery, not only physical imprisonment, but also the mental and spiritual breakdown of identity. The speaker, Susanna, talks about how she was separated from everything that defined her home, her family, and her history, being sold like an object. just shows the horrific objectification of enslaved people who are considered as property rather than actual human beings. Her comment, "I have no name, no past, and no right to weep," just depicts a complete loss of self. She has been denied even the most essential human right to grieve. Maria takes this opportunity just to create compassion while also exposing the full extent of slavery's misery. It's more than simply labor. It's also about silencing, deleting, and destroying lives. Maria reclaims Susanna's humanity by giving her a voice, allowing the reader to see her agony and just understand her story. Thank you so much for listening, and have a good day.